I am really excited to be creating my tarot correspondence course. This is the deepest dive into tarot I've ever done. And I'm even more excited that as I write and research the course, the card that I am deep diving into is the Devil. Now, I love the Devil card, I have to say. I think for many people, and this is something I've had to work through myself, if we have come from a Christian background, and I do, I used to be a Sunday school teacher in my youth. I was a very keen bell ringer. Super keen. I used to go on trips around the country playing other churches' bells in my teens. It was a great social hobby for me. I then moved deeper into Christianity and spent some time being a born again Christian before, for various reasons, I turned to paganism. And so, yeah, the Devil is a loaded card. But the first thing I want to bring to your attention with this card, with this image that we are presented with here, painted by Pamela Coleman Smith in the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, almost everyone, when they see this card nods and goes, oh yeah, the Devil. And yet the image we have here is not the biblical devil that we have described to us in the Bible. And in many religious practices and spiritual practices, there is no concept of a universal divine evil archetype. I mean, I work currently with the Norse pantheon, and Loki is the deity that might be considered by some to be evil. Personally, I think he is chaos, but I think he's change, and I think he's needed, because I think anyone who has absolute power, and in the Norse pantheon we might think of Odin, is in the end going to be corrupted by that power. And so in the Norse pantheon, we need Loki to ensure the status quo never remains unchanged. In the Bible, however, we do have this description of evil forces. And I'm going to be quoting for you to you so that I'm getting some of my references correct. I don't normally read from a script, but I don't want to get this wrong. In Ephesians chapter 6, we have the description here. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. So to me, obviously, we're getting no physical description of this individual here. We're also not getting a concept of one sort of big, bad, ugly, as it were, but spiritual forces. And again, this idea that they're in spirit. To the best of my knowledge, and I have read the Bible several times, but it was many years ago, I don't think we ever get a description of God physically. Certainly, if you read the biblical descriptions of angels, they are strange, with many eyes and many wings, and they don't represent the human form that we've got used to seeing angels. And this does not, to my knowledge, represent any biblical definition of the devil. We've got the devil described as an angel of light. He pretends to offer something good to try to get people to follow his teachings rather than those of God, which is coming from Corinthians. And yet in this devil, firstly, maybe I'm being judgmental, but that doesn't look like a beautiful being to me. And clearly not an angel of light. If we were going to describe an angel of light, we would perhaps describe the angel in The Lovers, where literally the hair of the angel and the arms and the hands seem to be made of radiant light. Whereas in this, the light is thrust down. In Peter, we have the devil described as a roaring lion. We also have in Revelation the devil described as a great dragon. I've just got some of my notes here. I love making notes as I read. The devil is described as a dragon, as a serpent, as a beast. And then we have this word Satan. And as I can see in my mind mapping here, actually the meaning of the word Satan is adversary. And so we have a feeling that in the Bible, maybe we're not having a universal evil energy described, but rather anything that is an adversary to God. And so if this is not a biblical image of the devil, and please, if you've got biblical evidence that I am wrong, share it in the comments or email me, because, I would love to know. I'm gonna have to get my notes out for this one because I don't want to get it wrong. So yeah, I mean, this is what I want from my channel, is for it to be a learning space for all of us. So if you are a biblical scholar and you have biblical descriptions of the devil that would reflect any of this, please let me know. I would love to learn more. My basic research is that this image here is effectively Baphomet, which is a god connected perhaps to occult practices, connected to the Knights Templar and such like. The feet, from what I've done, are the feet of Harpy's feet. The horns and the goat legs are connecting him to Pan. And the bat wings perhaps are connecting to him to the idea of a fallen angel or a dark angel. What we have here is an amalgamation of different gods from different traditions. And that is the definition of Satan. Because if the word Satan means adversary, then according to the Bible we have now, and I think we all know that there are other books to the Bible that were not included. The Bible we have now was compiled at the Council of Nicaea, and the books that were felt to fit the direction Christianity wanted to go in were chosen, and some were not chosen. What we have here is Satan. If Satan is an adversary to the Christian God, and if the Christian God says, if you are not with me, you are against me, then Satan can be found in any deity who is not the Christian God. And that's what we have here. Now, I'm going to be really honest. I don't know much about Baphomet. I've read a little bit about the Knight Templars. I've read a little bit about the occult workings. It's not a particular interest to me. I'm fascinated by the Norse deities. That's who I work with all the time. But I do not believe that Baphomet is evil. In fact, I think in most spiritual traditions, we don't have the concept of good and evil. We have the concept of light and dark, of active and rest, and we have a concept of needing to change and not maintain the status quo. So we have here an amalgamation of deities from other pantheons that, because they are not in the Christian Bible, are naturally adversaries or satanic. And when I look at this, for me in readings, the most usual meaning for the devil is excuses. If we look at the hand position, which is taken from images of Baphomet, but it is also remarkably similar to the arm or hand positions of the magician, with the as above, so below, as within, so without. The devil can often represent illusions, delusions, not seeing things clearly. That's why the burning brand, the light that allows us to see clearly, is thrust down, creating shadows and illusions and delusions. When we say, and I say it too, I'd love to, but I can't rest more because I'd love to exercise, but believe me, I do it as much as the next person. We are projecting our excuses out there into the world. If the devil is about bondage, then once we are adults, I'm aware that there are situations of war and slavery. And I'm not talking about those. I'm not talking about children. I am not talking about extreme situations. I am talking about the average person who is living in a relatively free society. Then, if you feel trapped, the answer is not in the outside world, it lies within. When my marriage ended, and if you've read my book, you've probably worked out I was a victim of domestic abuse. I felt like a victim. And I reclaimed my power when I understood how I had allowed it to happen. And by understanding my role in the enabling relationship, I have made sure I won't be in that position again. So to me, the devil, yes, it's about bondage. And just sometimes that is genuine. We are restrained financially or emotionally by another person. But at heart, we have to free ourselves. So if you find yourself saying, oh, I'd love to go on holiday, but I don't have the time. I'd love to start a side gig reading tarot, but I don't have the confidence. That is an excuse, I'm sorry to say, and that lies in the devil. I'll try and share some more videos on the devil because I'm really enjoying deep diving into this card. Just finishing with a thought on evil. Of course, the Christian tradition label the devil or Satan as evil. And here we have a card literally called the devil. If you're reading tarot, I think it's important you think about what evil is, about whether you believe people can be evil, about whether you think, could anybody be evil? And I'm not going to answer these questions. It's for each one of us to decide. And how you are going to ensure, if you're reading tarot, whether it's for yourself or someone else, that you do not become an agent of evil. And I will reflect super quickly on my thoughts. I do not believe in a universal force of evil. I do not believe anyone is ever born evil. I feel that we have choices, and sometimes people make incredibly selfish and destructive choices, which we perceive as evil. And I believe that any one of us can dip into that spectrum of good and evil, if we want to use those words. How do I ensure I do not become an agent for harming others through my tarot? I've thought a lot about this because I read for a lot of people. And the decision I came for is I do not read for revenge. If your question is detrimental to someone else, I will not read for it. Now, that's a complex sentence, by which I mean, if you're reading, should I have an affair with a married man? I will read for that because you're not doing it to hurt the married man and you're not doing it to hurt the married man's wife. You are interested in the relationship between you and the married man. But, and this is a question that crops up a lot, if I get asked, will this relationship that my ex is in hurt them as much as they hurt me, I will not read for that. because at essence you are looking about hurting someone else. And yes, I have had many people asking about court revenge readings, including should I, give their details to the taxman? Should I send their address to their ex-partner? I have had those sorts of readings. They're a flat out no. If it's more about an emotional situation, I will rephrase it. So I am fascinated by the devil card. I adore reading up about Lucifer and Satan and devil and Baphomet and the images. But make no mistakes, this is not the biblical devil by any stretch at all. And in the end, for most circumstances, when we are in bondage, the person that has put us in mental chains is almost always ourselves.